In 1587, off the coast of what is now North Carolina, a British colony was born. But just 3 years later, it disappeared completely. No signs of battle, no graves, no people. Archaeologists have found no trace of the settlement, but they did find this carved piece of wood with the word Croatoan on it. So what really happened here? There are 6 theories that try to explain the mystery of Roanoke, starting with the most popular one, the one that goes something like this. In August of 1585, a group of around 120 English settlers landed near present-day Cape Patras in North Carolina. The men had traveled across the Atlantic Ocean for 10 long weeks in cramped ships, enduring scurvy, storms, and starvation. Many would die before they ever made it to the New World. But those who did survive were excited to start their lives over on an island full of opportunity. There was just one problem, though. They were supposed to be meeting up with a supply ship from England in July, but by August it was already late, and the settlers knew that if they didn't build some sort of shelter soon, they might not survive the winter. So they started to chop down trees and build 16 small houses where they could hide from the elements until help arrived. But that help never came. You see, back in England, Queen Elizabeth I was at war with Spain and the Dutch, and her attention was split between fighting them off and ruling a country. The last thing she wanted to do was send supplies to a faraway colony on the other side of the planet. So the settlers were on their own. They hunted wild pigs and deer for food and used the skins to make clothing. They grew tobacco and corn, traded with the native tribes, and tried their best to build a new life in a strange land. But still, they waited for rescue. Then in 1590, 3 years after the colony was founded, a supply ship finally arrived. It was captained by John White, and he had come to rescue the settlers and take them back to England. But when he reached the island, he found no people, only 16 abandoned houses, a carved post with the word Croatoan on it, and a few crude drawings. The island was deserted. Now, there are plenty of theories out there trying to explain why the colony was deserted and what happened to the people. But first, let's talk about the most popular one. According to this theory, the colonists didn't disappear. Instead, they joined a nearby Native American tribe called the Croatoan. This theory has some evidence to back it up, too. For example, the colonists almost certainly interacted with the Croatoan people because the two groups traded and likely formed alliances with each other. We also know that the Croatoan had a tradition of adopting shipwrecked sailors, and the English settlers could have been adopted as well. Finally, there was a chief of the Croatoan named Wingina, and his name means King of England in their language. Some historians believe he may have become the leader of the entire colony after the English settlers joined the Croatoans. Unfortunately, this theory doesn't explain everything. For example, we don't know why the colonists would have left behind all of their belongings, nor do we know why they carved that mysterious word into a post. Still, it's a compelling idea. But what if there was more to the story? Perhaps the colonists didn't simply join the Croatoan, but were instead attacked and erased by them. That's right. The second theory is that the colonists were wiped out by the native tribes. Now, again, this theory has some proof, including the fact that the English colonies often fought with the natives. There was also a very real risk that the colonists would be killed and eaten in tribal rituals. But this theory doesn't quite add up either. If the colonists were attacked and killed, surely there would be signs of a battle or perhaps even some graves. But archaeologists have found nothing of the sort, which suggests that this theory isn't true. So let's move on to the third option. Maybe the colonists didn't leave the island willingly, but were instead forced to evacuate due to a natural disaster. Storms and rising sea levels could have caused massive flooding, forcing the colonists to flee. Or maybe the colony was hit by a hurricane and destroyed. In fact, we know that hurricanes did hit the area around this time, but unfortunately, none of these options can explain why the colonists would have carved that mysterious Croatoan word into a post. Alright, so let's say that the fourth theory is correct. The colonists didn't disappear, get attacked, or evacuate. Instead, they were part of a secret plot involving King Philip II of Spain and Queen Elizabeth I. Here's how this theory goes. You see, at the time, England and Spain were at war, and in 1586, King Philip decided that he would invade England and overthrow Queen Elizabeth. To do that, he needed supplies, and lots of them. So he hatched a plan with the governor of the Roanoke colony to steal supplies from the English settlements and send them to the Spanish. And it worked. The Spaniards stole many supplies from the English colonies and gave them to the native tribes. These tribes then gave the goods to the English settlers, which ensured that the colonists wouldn't starve to death. But this theory raises more questions than it answers. Like, why would the colonists have carved the word Croatoan into a tree? Why would they have left their homes? And what happened to them? And now we come to the final and strangest theory yet, that the colonists didn't disappear, get attacked, evacuate, or get shipped off to Spain. Instead, they were taken by aliens. Okay, before you click off this video, hear me out. First of all, the fifth theory goes like this. According to this theory, the colonists were abducted by a race of aliens who needed human test subjects for their experiments. After all, the universe is big enough that aliens probably exist somewhere. But again, this theory raises a lot of questions, like where did the aliens take them? Why did they leave behind all of their stuff? And why did they carve the word Croatoan into a post? Well, according to the sixth and final theory, the answer to all of those questions lies in one single word, the same word that we used to start this video, the word Croatoan. You see, some historians believe that the word isn't just a random word from a Native American tribe. Instead, they believe that the word is a code word that reveals a secret. In fact, this theory goes, the word Croatoan is actually a Latin translation of the word transported, which means that the colonists weren't lost or kidnapped, but instead were sent to another place. And if you think about it, it makes sense. The colonists would have been transported to another location, which explains why they left behind their homes. It also explains why they carved the word Croatoan into a post, because they wanted whoever found it to know that they were transported. But where did they go? Well, according to some historians, the colonists were sent through a time portal. Yeah, you heard that right. A time portal. Basically, this theory goes, the colonists were transported to another time, which is why there's no evidence of them today. Now, it sounds pretty crazy, but there are some people who actually believe that it's true. In fact, there's one man who believes that he's actually the descendant of one of the original colonists and that the time portal is still active. Every once in a while, he says, people from the future travel back to 1590 and vanish without a trace. So, what do you think? What happened to Roanoke? Did the colonists join a local tribe? Were they attacked and erased from existence? Did a natural disaster force them to evacuate? Was it a secret political cover-up? Or did aliens abduct them and send them to another time? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below, and the best comment will be turned into a feature video next week. Thanks for watching.